In this video, we're going to be practicing identifying special segments and lines. So directions, we're going to tell whether the line, ray, or segment is best described as a radius, chord, diameter, secant, or tangent of circle C. So remember, radius, that is one that goes from the center to, is a segment that connects the center to a point on the circle. A chord is a segment that its endpoints lie on the circle. A diameter is a chord that passes through the center of the circle. A secant is a line that intersects the circle twice, and a tangent is a line that intersects the circle once. So looking at this first one, I want to identify what AC is. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight that. I see I have A to C. I see that this first is a segment, and I see that its endpoints are on the circle and on the center. And what we learned in that first video is that means that this is the radius. Okay, let's look at the next one. Now I have AB. So I see I have a segment whose endpoints are on the circle. So it's really tempting to say, okay, that means it's a chord. However, I want to say which one is best described. And I see since this segment is a chord that passes through the center of the circle C, that means that this is actually the diameter. Okay, next we want to look at the ray DE. So I'm starting at D, and I have a ray going out that direction. So I say I do have a line here, and I see that it intersects the circle at one point, which is B. And so what we learned in that first video in the vocabulary is that a line that intersects the circle in one spot is called the tangent. Okay, next we're going to look at AE. So I have AE, and I notice at the top here that there's arrows on both sides. So that means I'm looking at line AE, which is super important to make that clarification. Since I am looking at line AE and it intersects the circle at 2 points, that means that this one is called the secant. Important thing to note, if this, instead of having the arrows on top representing AE, if it instead had just a line on top, that would mean it was talking about segment AE, which would be different. Okay, and then lastly, we want to look at AG. So here, again, that's also why we want to be looking at whether this is a segment or a line. Since this is a segment, I'm looking at just from A to G. And so that would be a chord because it's a segment whose endpoints are on the circle. So again, if this instead had the line AG, then it would be the secant.